Now, a top German court has ruled that a key European Central Bank policy partially violates the constitution. Judges were asked to decide if the ECB's bond buying programme, which began in 2015, was legal. The decision could have an impact on the EU's response to the coronavirus crisis. For more, let's go now to our business editor, Stephen Carroll. So, Stephen, what exactly did the court decide?
It was looking at this policy that began in 2015 of the ECB buying massive amounts of debt owned by European countries. And that was a major policy designed at the time to prop up the Eurozone economy. But what the court was asked to look at is whether or not the European Central Bank had overstepped its boundaries by engaging in that bond buying programme. Now, what the court said essentially is sort of. They said the bond buying itself doesn't violate EU law, but that the German government and the central bank should have looked for more justification from the bank for why it was taking part in this bond buying. So what it said now is that the European Central Bank's governing council must issue a new decision demonstrating that it has balanced its objectives with the economic and fiscal effects of spending so much money. And that will mean that if they haven't produced that in the next 3 months, the Bundesbank, Germany's central bank, will stop participating in the bond buying programme. Why do we care about that now? Well, that's because the European Central Bank, as part of the response to the pandemic crisis, has launched a new round of bond buying with even looser conditions attached. There had been fears that this decision may impact this new pandemic bond buying. The German court was clear to say that this decision solely relates to the 2015 programme, but you can be sure that the ECB's governing council and everyone in Frankfurt will be watching closely to see what the ECB says in this new decision that will help to make sure there aren't legal challenges like this to the pandemic programme as well.
Stephen, meanwhile, new figures out today show yet again the impact of the shutdown on the airline and motor industries.
And they're pretty shocking. We've known that these are two industries hard hit by the shutdown that's happening across much of Europe. Figures from Europe's largest budget airline, Ryanair, showing that the numbers of passengers they carried in March was down by 99.6%. The airline carried just 40,000 people in April. Last April, they carried 13.5 million. So it really gives you an idea of the extent of the shutdown that's happened to travel across Europe. Wizz Air, another low-cost airline, also reporting a 97% slump in its traffic in April as well. And this, of course, coming at a time that we know that European airlines are struggling. British Airways talking about over 10,000 job cuts. Ryanair itself talking about thousands of job losses as well. So that's one industry very hard hit. The other one that we have figures on today is the motor industry in the UK, where sales slumped to their lowest since 1946 in April. That's as people simply aren't getting out to spend money on new cars in the midst of this lockdown. That, again, an indication of the damage being done to the motor industry. The organisation representing the motor industry in the UK saying they're expecting the lowest sales since the early 90s now for the whole of 2020. These sectors will be dependent on there being a lifting of lockdown restrictions for them to recover. They're not likely to be among the first things people spend their money on, but they do give us an indication of just how far things will have to recover before we see a significant bounce to the economy.
All right, thank you very much, Stephen Carroll, our business editor.